Okay, so we know that the U.S. Obviously still owns the northern portion of the Gulf. It's still the U.S. land. And we understand how we got to that point. So let's talk a little bit about how science progressed to the way it is now. Early scientific studies were meant to advance commercial and military interests of the United States. And these started generally in the mid-1800s. There were a variety of agencies established then to serve those goals, like the U.S. Coast Survey, which is now NOAA, National Ocean Service. NOAA being the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the one who does all of the weather forecasts and the tidal forecasts and that kind of stuff. So basically, the predecessor of NOAA was established in 1807. And they began doing bathymetric surveys and mapping the Gulf Stream for navigation purposes. And there was a little bit of biology too. There was some coral reef biology going on. But mostly it was trying to figure out all of the different ways that that marine traffic could proceed throughout the Gulf of Mexico. So really they were interested more in currents and where the deep areas were and where the shallow areas were and that kind of information. And then deep sea exploration began in the late 1800s. The Challenger expedition was perhaps the most famous, and this is an image from the Challenger expedition of some deep sea life that was discovered. Can you imagine being the first person to pull up one of those? That would be insane. So this expedition confirmed thriving and abundant deep sea life. They found life everywhere. It was previously thought that there was no life in the deep sea because it's too high pressure, too cold, too dark, but they found life wherever they pulled up nets. By the start of World War II, there was a lot known about the animals and plants in nearshore environments. But there really wasn't much known about the outer shelf or the deeper ocean. In 1871, NOAA Fisheries was established. It was then called the U.S. Commission of Fish and Fisheries. And so post-war, we really started to expand our fisheries. This agency began studies of the potential for fisheries in bays, estuaries, and nearshore, and that was in the late 1800s. And around the Gulf of Mexico, there began to pop up a bunch of laboratories, marine laboratories, to study commercially important species in that region. So this is an image of what one of those laboratories would look like. It was basically just a large house by the ocean. This one's on Loggerhead Key in the Florida Keys, but it's no longer active. And this is an example, this Carnegie lab here, an example of a laboratory that did work on more than just commercially important species. They were studying coral reefs as well. After World War II, knowledge of the Gulf of Mexico grew because of economic interests, especially oil. The petroleum industry first ventured into the Gulf in 1938, and they opened the Creole field 2 kilometers offshore from the Louisiana coast, and that was the first oil platform in the Gulf of Mexico. This is an image of it right here. After that was built, discoveries of additional oil fields came very quick. And by the 1980s, much of Louisiana shelf was leased for oil exploration. So that happened real fast. Less than 50 years, really. From the discovery of oil to pretty much everything being explored. During World War II, there was also many advances in ship technology, and these led to much more efficient fisheries. So for instance, advances in refrigeration, so you could keep fish cold on a ship and you could stay out longer. That was huge. That was a really big deal for fishing. And for us. Field fisheries and oceanography research stations were established all over the coastal U.S. And the primary target species in the Gulf of Mexico were this fish right here, called Gulf menhaden, and also shrimp. You may have never heard of menhaden. It's a weird fish. It's not something you would eat. It would be disgusting to eat. But it is used for fish oil production. And fish oil is used in all sorts of things, all sorts of industries. Pet food, cosmetics, fish oil supplements, lots of food, human food. So this is the fish that provides that fish oil. They're extremely abundant, and this is probably the largest grossing fishery in the Gulf of Mexico, certainly. By the 1980s, over 1 million metric tons of fish are being landed annually in the Gulf. And so really, the Gulf came into its own as a fisheries mecca by the 1980s. That wasn't that long ago, right? I mean, it took a while to get there. It took a while to get to the point where fisheries were established in the Gulf of Mexico.